Ever dreamt of stepping into a real-life fairy tale? What if I told you that Denmark's castles hold centuries of stories, from royal jewels to Shakespeare's inspiration, just waiting for you to discover them? From glittering crown jewels to secret passages in world-famous plays, these castles aren't just beautiful, they hold the keys to centuries of power, culture, and drama you can still experience today. Sustainability and green energy. Viking heritage. Welfare system. New Nordic food. Welcome to Denmark Explained, your front row seat to the hidden gems, quirky traditions, and powerful stories that make Danish culture truly unforgettable. Imagine walking through a place where every stone whispers stories from hundreds of years ago. The air feels different, heavier somehow, as though it's carrying the weight of kings, queens, and centuries of carefully preserved history. That's what it's like when you visit the great castles of Denmark. These are not just old buildings, they are time machines, designed to impress, protect, and remind everyone who saw them of the power of the crown. One of the most striking things about Denmark's castles is their connection to the Renaissance period. At that time, rulers across Europe weren't just building fortresses, they were building statements. These castles became symbols of wealth, influence, and art. They were designed to show that the royal family wasn't only powerful in battle, but also cultured and refined. The architecture reflected the latest European styles, with elaborate facades, perfectly symmetrical designs, and intricate detailing that still stops visitors in their tracks today. Inside, it's another world. Imagine vast halls lined with oil paintings of past monarchs, their eyes following you as you walk by. These portraits are not just decorations, they're pieces of propaganda from centuries past, carefully crafted to project authority and inspire loyalty. Tapestries tell stories of battles and alliances, and the furniture itself is carved like sculpture, each chair and table a testament to the skills of artisans who worked for months, sometimes years, on a single piece. But what makes these castles truly magical is how they blend grandeur with intimacy. Many were summer residences for the royal family, built in peaceful locations surrounded by formal gardens. Walking through these gardens today, you can imagine courtiers strolling arm in arm, discussing politics and poetry, while musicians played nearby. These spaces were carefully planned, not just for beauty but for symbolism. Straight lines and geometric patterns were meant to reflect order and control, while fountains and statues celebrated art and learning. And here's something fascinating: despite their elegance, these castles were also built for defense. Many have thick walls, narrow staircases, and watchtowers. Some are surrounded by moats, which not only provided protection but also added to the drama of arriving at the castle. Guests would cross bridges over shimmering water, already feeling that sense of awe before they even stepped inside. It's no surprise that these castles are now among Denmark's most visited attractions. For travelers, they offer a unique combination of experiences. You can explore the art and architecture, wander through meticulously kept gardens, and learn the stories of the people who lived here. Some castles have museums inside, displaying treasures like royal crowns, ceremonial swords, and centuries-old manuscripts. Others are still used for official events, giving you the strange but wonderful feeling that history is still unfolding within those walls. There's also a special charm in how these castles connect the past with the present. Denmark is a modern, forward-thinking country, yet it has preserved these pieces of its heritage not as dusty relics but as living parts of its culture. Locals visit for picnics in the gardens, concerts in the courtyards, or seasonal celebrations that bring history to life. It's a reminder that these places aren't just frozen in time, they continue to serve the community in new and unexpected ways. Standing in the great halls, you might think about the decisions made there. Treaties signed, wars declared, celebrations held. And while the world outside has changed completely, the walls remain, carrying silent witness to it all. That's the real magic of visiting a castle in Denmark. You're not just looking at history, you're standing inside it. Later in this video, we'll look at one of the country's most famous castles, a place that inspired one of the greatest plays ever written. But before we get there, I want you to picture yourself in that Renaissance garden, hearing the crunch of gravel under your feet, smelling the scent of blooming flowers, and knowing that kings and queens once stood exactly where you're standing now. Looping back later to a castle that inspired Hamlet, yes, more on that. Imagine standing on a windswept coastline, looking up at towering stone walls that have stood for over 400 years. In front of you is one of the most iconic castles in all of Denmark, a place that is not only a masterpiece of Renaissance architecture but also a fortress that once controlled one of the most important waterways in Europe. This castle isn't famous only for its beauty. It holds a special place in world literature. William Shakespeare set one of his greatest tragedies here. Even though he never visited in person, the castle's reputation for grandeur and mystery was so well known in his time that it became the perfect backdrop for Hamlet. Today, visitors from around the globe arrive to walk through the same grand halls that inspired Shakespeare's vision. Actors still perform the play in the castle's courtyard each summer, giving the audience a surreal experience, watching Hamlet where Hamlet's story is set. But before it became a stage for world culture, this castle was a powerful symbol of military strength. Its location was no accident. It overlooks the narrow strait between Denmark and Sweden, a strategic point that, for centuries, controlled access to the Baltic Sea. Every ship passing through had to pay a toll to the Danish crown, and this castle stood as a constant reminder that the king controlled these waters. Inside, the contrast between function and luxury is striking. The main banquet hall, known as the Great Hall, is one of the largest in Northern Europe. Imagine it lit by hundreds of candles, filled with music and the voices of ambassadors, nobles, and military commanders. At the same time, the outer walls were built to withstand sieges, and the underground passages, cold, damp, and echoing, were designed to move troops and supplies quickly during a battle. Walking through this castle today, you might first notice its elegant towers and symmetrical layout. But spend a little time exploring, and you'll discover the more rugged, practical details, cannon placements, thick gates, and lookout points with sweeping views over the water. It's a reminder that even the most beautiful royal residence could also be a place of war. What's remarkable is how this castle has evolved from a stronghold to a cultural treasure. Its UNESCO World Heritage status recognizes both its architectural significance and its historical role in controlling maritime trade. And yet, despite its military past, it's a place that now invites people in rather than keeping them out. Tourists wander the halls, students sketch its towers, and theater lovers gather for performances under the open sky. There's also something deeply atmospheric about visiting here. On quiet days, when the sea breeze drifts through the courtyards, you can almost imagine the footsteps of soldiers on patrol or the murmur of voices planning a royal feast. On stormy days, the crashing waves against the outer walls give you a glimpse of what it must have felt like to defend this place against hostile ships. For travelers, this castle offers more than just sightseeing. It's a layered experience, part history lesson, part art exhibition, part theatrical stage. Whether you come for Shakespeare, for the military history, or simply to admire the view, you leave with a deeper sense of how Denmark's past has shaped its culture today. So here's the question for you. If you could spend an afternoon in one of Denmark's castles, would you rather A. Explore glittering royal treasures in a peaceful Renaissance palace surrounded by gardens? B. Walk the windswept battlements of this sea fortress, imagining life as both a noble and a soldier? Let me know your choice in the comments. I'm curious which side of history you'd pick. And if you're enjoying this journey, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more stories about Denmark, and share this video with a friend who loves history and travel. Later in this video, we'll step inside a castle unlike any other, one surrounded entirely by water, with hidden staircases, double walls, and an atmosphere so enchanting you might forget the modern world exists just beyond its gates. First, I've just shared how Kronborg blends history and Hamlet. Now, would you rather A. Explore crown jewels in a Renaissance summer palace at Rosenborg, or B. Reenact Hamlet at Kronborg's legendary halls? Let me know in the comments. Planning a trip to Denmark? Or maybe you're moving there soon? Don't just Google your way through it. Let DenmarkExplained.com be your shortcut to a smoother, smarter, and way more fun experience. At DenmarkExplained.com/products, you'll find itineraries, ready-made plans that turn confusion into unforgettable days, eBooks, packed with local insights, cultural tips, and everyday know-how. No boring history lessons, just stuff that actually helps. Expat guides, moving to Denmark? Get the info you wish someone told you before you landed. Everything's digital, everything's simple, and everything's designed to make Denmark feel less confusing, and way more cozy. So skip the stress, and get the guides that explain Denmark, clearly, cleverly, and in plain English. Check it out now at DenmarkExplained.com/products. Your trip, our tips, let's make it amazing. If you're enjoying this journey through Danish castles, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share or comment your favorite castle choice. Picture a castle surrounded entirely by water, not just a decorative pond, but a deep, protective moat that has been in place for centuries. The water reflects every detail of the structure, its tall brick towers, its sharp gables, and the countless windows that once glowed with candlelight. This is one of Europe's best preserved Renaissance water castles, and the moment you see it, you understand why it has captured the imagination of travelers for generations. Built in the mid-1500s, this castle was not only a symbol of wealth but also a marvel of engineering. The foundations rest on thousands of oak piles driven deep into the ground, ensuring the structure's stability even in the wet conditions. The water served both as a defense and a statement of prestige. Arriving guests would cross a bridge and be greeted by the sight of the entire castle mirrored in the moat, a dramatic first impression that said, "You are entering a place of importance." Step inside, and you'll find a mix of practicality and elegance. Narrow staircases spiral up through towers, and some lead to hidden passages that once allowed the residents to move unseen. The double walls, thick and sturdy, were designed to slow down attackers, while the inner rooms boast intricate woodwork and period furniture. You can almost picture a noble family gathered in front of a large fireplace, discussing politics, marriages, and alliances. Outside, the grounds offer something for every kind of visitor. Formal gardens bloom with vibrant colors in summer, and ancient trees provide shade for leisurely walks. There are even small exhibitions showing what life was like for both the nobility and the servants who kept the estate running smoothly. It's not hard to imagine the sound of hooves on the cobblestones or the distant echo of bells calling people to a grand feast. A short journey away stands another breathtaking residence, the largest Renaissance castle in Scandinavia. Built on 3 small islands in the middle of a lake, this masterpiece is surrounded by landscaped gardens that seem to go on forever. From a distance, it almost looks like something out of a painting, with the water, greenery, and elaborate architecture blending perfectly together. Inside, this grand residence houses one of the most impressive collections of historical portraits in the country. Each painting tells its own story, capturing the personalities of rulers, politicians, and cultural icons. As you walk through the halls, you begin to realize that this is more than just a castle. It's a living history book, chronicling centuries of change. The banquet halls here are vast, the ceilings soaring above your head and adorned with elaborate carvings. Sunlight streams through tall windows, casting patterns on polished floors. It's easy to imagine the sound of a royal orchestra filling the room, or the clinking of glasses as toasts were made in celebration of victories or royal weddings. What's especially interesting is how both of these castles, the Water Castle and the Grand Lake Residence, are designed to impress in different ways. The Water Castle charms with its intimacy and clever defensive features. It feels like a place where daily life, though noble, was still grounded in the need for safety. The larger residence, on the other hand, is pure spectacle, built to display power, culture, and the king's role as a patron of the arts. Visiting these castles today gives you a sense of contrast. One invites you to imagine the quiet, strategic life of a noble household. The other surrounds you with grandeur and ceremony. Both, however, share the same core purpose: to reflect the wealth, influence, and vision of their time. Later in the video, we'll explore yet another side of Denmark's castle heritage, a place where royal treasures, including crowns and ceremonial objects, are still kept under careful guard. It's where history and modern monarchy meet, and it offers a glimpse into traditions that are still alive today. And now, back to that fairy tale charm we started with. It's one thing to visit a castle that belongs to the past, where the rooms are frozen in time and the walls tell silent stories. But in Denmark, there are castles that are not only preserved for history, they are still deeply connected to the life of the modern royal family. Here, tradition is not a relic. It's something that continues, evolving quietly while keeping centuries-old customs alive. One of the most remarkable examples is a Renaissance palace that holds the nation's crown jewels. These are not replicas or museum pieces from another era. They are the actual regalia used in coronations and other state ceremonies. Standing in front of them, you realize you're looking at objects that have been worn by kings and queens over hundreds of years, each gem carefully chosen for its meaning and beauty. The crowns themselves are masterpieces, not just in craftsmanship but in symbolism, representing the authority of the monarchy and the continuity of the state. The palace also holds other treasures, ceremonial swords, coronation chairs, and royal robes that are so intricate you wonder how they were ever worn without damaging them. Yet despite being so old, everything is maintained to an almost unbelievable standard. The lighting, the climate control, and the security are all modern, ensuring that these national treasures will survive for future generations to see. Outside, the castle grounds are open to the public. On sunny days, locals stroll through the gardens, students sit on the grass sketching statues, and families gather for picnics. The sense of openness is striking. Even though this place guards some of the most valuable objects in the country, it also serves as a welcoming space for everyone. It's a reminder that history here is not hidden behind glass, it's part of everyday life. And while many of the castles are now museums, others remain active residences for members of the royal family. This means that behind certain closed doors, modern life continues, official meetings are held, guests are received, and the monarchy's role as a unifying symbol of the nation is upheld. What makes this blend of old and new so unique is the way Denmark manages to balance respect for tradition with the values of an open, democratic society. The castles are not seen as untouchable fortresses, but as cultural landmarks that belong to everyone. Festivals, concerts, and public events are often held in these historic settings, allowing visitors to experience them in a way that feels alive and relevant. The continued use of these castles by the royal family also means they are living buildings. They're not simply preserved in the state they were left in centuries ago. Instead, they evolve, rooms are restored, artwork is rotated, and spaces are adapted for new purposes while still keeping their original character. In this way, the castles become a bridge between the past and the present, showing how history can be honored without being frozen. For a traveler, this creates a unique opportunity. You can walk into a room where a coronation took place hundreds of years ago, and then, just down the hall, see an exhibition curated last year. You can watch a modern concert in a courtyard that once hosted royal banquets. You can sit in a garden designed in the Renaissance era and hear the laughter of children playing nearby. That mix of grandeur and accessibility is what makes Denmark's castles so appealing. They're not just monuments to a vanished age, they're part of the country's living culture. Whether you come for the jewels, the architecture, the history, or simply the atmosphere, you leave with a sense of connection. It's as if the stories of the past have reached out to shake hands with the present, inviting you to be part of the narrative. And that's the beauty of visiting castles here. They remind us that history is not just something we look at from a distance. It's something we can walk through, touch, and carry with us into the future. Thanks for watching. I hope you felt the magic of Denmark's castles. See you in the next video. Click on the playlist to your right for more enchanting journeys.